Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into something absolutely crucial for anyone who loves building systems from the ground up, the RCOS Hardware Assembly Guide. We're going to take this incredibly brief, literally bare-bones source text and totally unpack it. We really want to get into the practical mechanics hidden inside these beautifully simple instructions. So, let's get right into it.
So, what makes a machine breathe? Imagine you're staring at this massive, intimidating pile of disparate hardware parts. It's totally normal to feel a little overwhelmed, but really it's just a giant puzzle. The real challenge is figuring out how to take those scattered pieces of silicon and metal and organize them so they function together as a unified system. And that is exactly what our source text guides us through today with total clarity.
The guide breaks this entire builder's journey down into three super logical, manageable phases. 1. Preparation, 2. Assembly, and 3. Boot.
Let's start with Phase 1, the blueprint, setting the stage.
Now, the source text explicitly calls this step component preparation. And honestly, preparation is kind of the unsung hero of the whole hardware journey. It's the process of identifying, sorting, and laying out your hardware to prevent bottlenecks later on. Having total, absolute control over your workspace right at the start, that's what keeps everything else running smoothly. You're effectively moving from chaos to a highly structured workspace.
And there's a vital contrast to make here between individual components and a unified core. During prep, the parts are completely isolated, right? The entire goal of this phase is to organize these loose items so they can be efficiently connected. You're basically setting the baseline to take all these disparate pieces of hardware and combine them so they can act as a single, powerful entity in the very next step.
Moving right along to Phase 2, the blueprint, the physical build.
Notice the guide's specific phrasing here. It says core assembly. We are no longer dealing with loose components. We are actively constructing the core. By securing these parts together in a highly structured way, you are establishing the physical foundation of the RCOS machine. This core literally becomes the structural anchor point that the rest of your entire build relies on.
And now we reach Phase 3, the blueprint, the moment of truth.
Before we go any further, let's just recap the procedural arc we've been on. At point 1, preparation, we moved from chaos to order by sorting our parts. Then at point 2, assembly, we took that order and forged it into a rigid physical structure. And now we finally arrive at point 3, boot. We've traced the exact path from a pile of parts to a fully wired machine, leading straight up to the suspenseful final step of pressing that power button.
The source guide identifies this as initial system boot. This is it. This is that highly satisfying moment when the assembled hardware is powered up for the very first time. The machine ceases to be just a static, quiet object on your desk and officially initializes into a dynamic, living RCOS system. The actual flow of power is what completes the whole build process.
You know, there is something wonderfully surprising about our source text for this explainer. The entire set of instructions we've been unpacking today, the preparation, the assembly, the system boot, is encapsulated in exactly 4 brutally brief lines in the original text. No way, right? It is actually pretty funny how concise it is. Yet those few simple words provide a completely viable framework for hardware creation. It proves that you absolutely do not need a massive manual to build a system when you have clear, structured intent.
So, the big question is, are you ready to begin your build? We've walked through the blueprint, organized the components, assembled the core, and initiated the boot. The process is super straightforward and totally manageable once it's demystified. The next step is simply for you to take this structured understanding, transition from a focused learner to an active builder, and bring your own machine online. Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer, and I hope your next build is a massive success.